It's been a range of emotions for us because this was not something that we knew was going to happen. This documentary, they did not let anyone know. We found out just like everyone else found out,
Through the press.
online
Through the press.
through the press, and I equate it to basically a missile coming to a country and you have no preparation for it. You just have to prepare for the worst. And then once it hits, you kind of then only can see what you can do about it. And that's kind of what they did to us in a way. It was a one-sided documentary. And so for us, it was hard because we sat there and before it even aired, the press was already saying this is devastating. Michael's a monster. It's like they kind of geared the public into thinking this is the way it should be. This is how you should look at it. And so no one got to be able to look at it in their own critical way.
Okay. Um, Maybe as far as I know, you are the
Mm.
only member of the Jackson family, maybe, who have seen the documentary. That's what you said maybe on TV because your uncles they didn't want to see the documentary. Maybe the
Yeah.
only one of the only
Um,
ones, one of the only
no,
ones.
since then, my brother's seen it, my,
Okay.
my cousins have seen it and all that stuff. The younger generation has seen it because, we actually grew up around that time period. So we wanted to see it because we're closer to social media and we know how social media works.
And why have you decided to face that documentary?
Phase, I didn't
To
understand.
face. I mean, say to
Oh, the
see,
face.
yeah, to see it, and even
Yeah.
if it's disturbing.
I think for us, you can't, I don't even want to use the word defend. You can't combat something if you haven't seen it. That was one of the things that I think with the family. And I'm sorry with this Skype thing. I don't even know which. I think I'm supposed to look straight there, so I'm looking all over the place.
Look straight.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So basically, we wanted to make sure that we knew what we were talking about because we hadn't seen it. And I asked to see it before it even aired. I asked 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it aired because I wanted to be prepared for it. They wouldn't allow that to happen. They showed it to press. They showed it to Oprah Winfrey. They showed it to everyone except the family.
Okay. First of all, do
Hmm.
you know Wade Robson and Jimmy Safechuck? Personally.
I know personally. I know Wade Robson, and I know Wade Robson's whole family personally. I can tell you one of the things that they conveniently left out is that Wade Robson also dated my cousin
Okay.
Brandy.
I'll
Yeah.
make you. I'll ask you
Okay.
another
Okay. Yeah.
question.
So that's. I mean, that's. Yeah. We know Wade very well. Yeah.
Was
Well
he
enough.
was he like a part of the family?
No, I think the weird thing about this documentary, they make it seem like they were part of the family of, for this whole time period and all this stuff. They definitely were significant in my uncle's life, just like other people were significant, like Macaulay Culkin was significant, like we were significant. But they make it sound like they were the person, in the documentary, and I think that's a big lie in itself. And I would say Wade definitely we knew very well. I don't like speaking about Jimmy or James Safechuck because I didn't know him personally, but I can tell you online a lot of his stuff has been already debunked and proven as lies.
Like what, for instance, regarding Jimmy
Well,
Safechuck? And then we'll talk about Wade Robson.
yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, because they had to do depositions. They sued the estate before they actually came out with this. And his story has changed many times from, he first, he discovered it through therapy is one version. On Oprah, he said that, he didn't discover it through therapy. He saw Wade Robson on Matt Lauer, and he that's when he knew he was sexually abused. But then there's another version where he says that he told his mom in 2009 that he was sexually abused. So he has three different versions depending, and that's been the hard thing is like, which version are we supposed to fight? The press uses whatever version fits them, but we can't fight three different versions. And there's a thing where I guess in the documentary, the mom says that she danced when she heard Michael had passed. Well, that was in 2009. If he didn't discover that he was sexually abused until 2013,
She
then
can
how did
dance.
it?
She can dance.
Yeah, well, she wouldn't even know. Yeah, and these are the inconsistencies, and this is just 1 week of doing research. I mean, the fans are finding many, many things. He lied about going to Euro Disney with Michael when Euro Disney wasn't even open for years later. He lied about a Thanksgiving when Michael was on tour, so he couldn't have gone to Thanksgiving with Jimmy. So there's many things he's been lying about. Consistent. And the thing is when you have the truth on your side, you don't need to lie. That's the thing that we're trying to say. When you have truth, you don't have to embellish and you don't have to lie. And when you have all these lies starting to come up, and more people are finding out more things, and in terms of he claims that Michael called to beg him to testify. Well, the defense that was in charge, Scott Ross, he's one of the defenders, basically said his testimony would have never been allowed anyway. He was a non-entity, which means that whole thing that he said was a lie. He was never even part of that case. The judge had already ruled that he's not part of the case. So why would my uncle beg someone to testify if his testimony can't be allowed? And so these are things that people are starting to discover. I didn't know Jimmy, so I knew Wade, so that's why I've always been online saying Wade, Wade, Wade. But now I'm starting to see, and I've always believed this anyway, because my uncle's been the biggest target in the world, because he never defended himself. And when he did defend himself, it's too late. Exactly. And that's the thing. And that's the thing with our family, We've always been taught to turn the other cheek, Don't give it attention. Don't give it. Well, when you don't give it attention, people believe it. And I think there's been 20 to 30 years of lies that no one's combated. And now people believe it's true. And I see it because people on social media, in forums and all that, there's you have to correct them on all these lies. And you're like, these are all lies.
I told you, I've seen the documentaries. Wade Robson
Yeah.
and Jimmy Safechuck, they're very convinced and very convincing. It's hard to say that they're not hurt by what they're telling. So, but you don't believe that your uncle was a pedophile. Why?
Why?
Regarding what Wade Robson and Jimmy Safechuck are telling in this documentary.
Well, I think, first of all, here's the thing. They waited till he was dead. And right now, there's no law right now that protects the dead from slander or libel. So they can make up whatever they want, and the family can't sue them right now. Just like you can make up a story about Elvis and Lisa Marie Presley can't. So I ask the public, just take what they say as a grain of, don't take it as religion. Don't take it as the truth. Take it as these are two people that can say anything they want and will not get sued, will not, especially when they have the media on their side as well. So they're not even getting questioned. And when they do get questioned, they fall apart completely. So it's like, that's the thing. Me and my family and friends of Michael and fans, we're going into the lion's den. We are answering every question. We're answering it truthfully. We're not shying away from anything. But then they get handed softball questions and things like that. And once Dan Reed did get questioned by Piers Morgan, about motivation and all that stuff, he didn't have an answer. And that's the thing. It's like, this is a serious allegation. This is someone's legacy. You should look at both sides. If you have 4 hours to watch a documentary, then you should have 10 minutes to look up research on these two people.
They also give details. They also describe Neverland very well. They seem to know Michael and his environment very, very well. So this is a naive question, but why disqualify them?
Why disqualify them? Because right now they're.
For you, they're liars.
No, they also have financial motivation. Right now, there's an appeals going on right now in the court where they actually sued the estate for hundreds of millions of dollars and it got tossed out. This year, they have appeals coming up for that. So they have every interest in overturning that. So for them to say there's no financial motivation is lying, Just the same way that for me, because I do music and I'm part of the Jackson family, I can't say this doesn't affect me. It does affect me, So it's like, just be honest.
Regarding Wade Robson, because you told me you knew him.
Yeah.
And you know him very well. Why
Yeah.
is he a liar?
Why is Wade a liar? I think, well, first of all, Wade was doing tributes for Michael Jackson up until, Well, first, I got Wade and his whole family into the memorial, the Michael Jackson Memorial. I reached out to him because I had heard from a mutual friend that he was trying to get into this memorial desperately. So I reached out to him. I was able to get him and his family to the memorial. He did the VMA MTV Awards with Janet, dancing, talking about how his mentor and that he wanted be close to him. He did, he called So You Think You Can Dance within 24 hours of my uncle's passing. He called pitching a tribute show, wanting to be part of a tribute show. So he already was thinking, how can I do something? Well, exploit, or if he was in that time period, like really wanting to do something for his friend, it was bad mindset. But then, once he started having financial burden, and then once the Cirque du Soleil, which he was up for a choreographer, once he did not get that job and the estate denied him, Michael Jackson estate denied him, all of a sudden he starts writing a secret tell-all book. So he starts writing about his abuse right after he gets fired from the Cirque du Soleil thing.
I've listened to the interview your cousin Brandy gave to
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ziegler. Why is that a key point for you, that interview? Because she's telling something that we didn't know at all.
Well, that's the thing.
She was dating Wade Robson during that period when he was
For 8 years.
Abused by Michael Jackson. Tell us more.
She was dating Wade Robson for 8 years, and I think the thing is that, 8 years of someone's life, the family and the person very, very well. And it's something, that was purposely left out of this document. That's what I'm saying. When things are purposely left out, you have to question it. When it doesn't fit a narrative.
Why evidently left out?
Because the whole thing was that Michael wanted to groom Wade, And if Michael wanted to groom Wade, then why would Michael set up Wade with his niece? That's what the mind would say. Well, if he wanted to groom, why would he set him up with his niece, who's always going to be around him and take time away from him, And they were in a relationship for over 7 years. So it's like, that's the things that they purposely left out. I don't even know if the director knew it or if Wade just didn't say it, but it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years, it's 8 years. And that's the thing. That's a long time. And think back when you were in teenage and you had relationships. If you had an 8-year relationship during that time period, that person knew you very well. They knew everything. They knew your family. So don't just discount Brandy, because Brandy knew the Robsons very well. I mean, I had relationships, and I knew the people very well, and their family, and everyone else around them.
When you listen to the Brandy's to Wade Robson testimony,
Mm-hmm.
it seems also like he had suffered a lot of that relationship. Not during that relationship, as he says.
Yeah, but after.
But after.
Yeah.
Why did it seem awkward for you?
I think the thing is that I really do think that Wade, his career fell apart. Let's be honest. He burnt bridges in the dancing community. People didn't want to hire him again. He had a nervous breakdown when he was supposed to do a movie called Step Up Revolutions. The pressure got to him. He wrote in his blog that he failed everyone. He failed Michael. So he didn't handle the pressure well. But my problem is, you don't blame someone for that. In that case, it seems like everything that went wrong in his life, he's just blaming my uncle for. And that's not, my uncle's not an scapegoat. He blames my uncle for his dad. He blames my uncle for his career. He blames my uncle for his relationships. So it's like, for me, it's like sometimes you have to take accountability for yourself. And I think that he's using this as an scapegoat for his own failure. And I don't believe for 1 second that he was abused.
When you listen to them, it's like they were with Michael Jackson every day, every time. Is that correct?
No.
Was the reality of now?
No, it's not. It's not the reality. And what they fail to mention is that there are many other people around my uncle at the same time. And they've been very careful, because if they say that all these people are around, they're really incriminating all these people, and all these people can sue them. They've said it once on Oprah. They said that, and they cut it out of the telecast, but the journalists reported about it, because they can be sued for that. If they start saying so-and-so was around and they helped and whatever, that person can come and sue and say, okay, prove it. And so they've been very sneaky, and they've had help, because the fact that it was cut out of a telecast shows me a lot.
Michael was surrounded by kids, mainly young boys, but also girls,
Mm-hmm.
like you, your brothers, Macaulay Culkin, Brett Barnes, Emmanuel
Yeah.
Lewis back in the 80s.
Quincy Jones's daughter, Kadada Jones, Rashida Jones. Yeah.
Exactly. But why? Because we don't know him. You knew him very well. So
Yeah.
why a 20, 30, 40-year-old man takes time with kids, sleeps with them, but he always denied any sexual abuse. So can you explain us why?
Yeah.
Was it Michael's life and it has nothing to do with sexual abuse?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is that the first words, words are important, and it's like sleeps with. When someone says sleeps with, everyone thinks it's sexual anyway. It was sharing a bed with. That was the wording that my uncle used, but the media turned it into sleeps with, and now it's become what it is. And I think sleeps with sounds sexual, no matter what. So and so slept with so and so. So I think that's where your mind goes automatically. My uncle never thought of a bed as a bed. Just like I don't think of a bed as a bed. I watch movies on my bed. My uncle, think of a bed as a couch. If you were watching movies on the couch with friends and kids and all that stuff like that, and you guys all fell asleep, no one would think anything of it. But as soon as it becomes a bed, it becomes sexual. And I think that's the difference with people, is that my uncle was a big kid, and I was, we would watch Three Stooges, we would watch Little Rascals, sometimes we watch horror movies, and it was like, that was just the atmosphere. My uncle's bed was huge, and I understand how people on the outside would look at it. I'm not blind to it, but at the same time, my uncle wasn't that kind of person. He was a big kid in himself. My uncle was the kind of person that would play hide and go seek and throw water balloons and pie fights. And people were like, no, that can't be. No, that's what he liked to do. And Macaulay Culkin says it all the time. Anyone that knows him says that. Elizabeth Taylor would say that as well. And so for me, I think you have to go with the people that knew him best. Elizabeth Taylor, Marlon Brando, Diana Ross, all those people that knew him and felt comfortable around him because they knew his heart.